A person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thought. He loses touch with reality. A good servant, but a bad master, and lives in a world of illusion. And all so-called civilized people have increasingly become crazy and self-destructive.
Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
And let's talk horror.
So today we are going to be talking about My Bloody Valentine. We are going to be talking about the original from 1981 and the remake from 2009. Mm-hmm. We are going to talk about scenes from the original that were not in the remake and scenes from the remake that were not in the original. And then we're going to compare scenes from both of them. Mm-hmm. And then we are going to tell you which one we prefer more.
Can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
So before we can get started there, we got to go back to Valentine's Bluff. Now, My Bloody Valentine is a love triangle, sometimes a love square that's wrapped up in a slasher. So let's head on over to Valentine's Bluff in 1981 and let's talk about the original.
So the original, it starts off with two people in the mine making out, like, you know, groping each other. Yeah. And the girl goes to take off like his oxygen mask, and he gets angry about it. Yeah. And grabs her, and she has this little heart tattoo and pushes her through his pickaxe through the heart.
It comes right out through the heart. Now we're kind of summarizing the movie here, just talking about scenes that we feel like were important to the film. One that I always think is funny is when they're driving in the truck and he gets the candy box and he's all excited about it.
Yeah.
And then he opens up and sees it's a human heart, and just the reaction on his face, just knowing,
like, not again.
The Harry Warden shit is starting all over again. So, speaking of Harry Warden.
Yes. Yeah, so how he, you know, became a killer. They didn't check the methane gas.
Mm-hmm. The two supervisors at the mine.
The two supervisors didn't check the methane gas. And then 6 men got buried alive. Mm-hmm. And the way Harry, he survived was by eating the other guy. So he was like a cannibal.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, just the look on his face when it shows, like, he's just completely gone insane, batshit crazy. Yeah. And then Harry, he gets revenge on the supervisors because he was trapped down there for 6 weeks. Right. So he had to eat them to survive. Right. But when he finally gets out, he gets revenge on those supervisors by killing them and putting their hearts in candy boxes. So that's where the whole candy box, Valentine's Bluff, that's where all that really stems from. And that's a scene that I also like. I like the goriness. I love seeing the hearts in the boxes and the blood dripping off on the floor when they're at the dance. Because that's why the supervisors and everybody left them in the mine. They went to a dance.
Right.
And so now you're kind of getting caught up on that. So why would Harry Warden care about a Valentine's dance?
Because he got trapped down there.
They abandoned him and didn't check the methane.
Yeah.
Yes.
So another cool scene is when Mabel gets that card and it's got that really awesome poem written in it.
Roses are red, violets are blue. One is dead, and so are you?
See, now that's poetry. Like that right there is true poetry. Roses are red, violets are blue. One thing I love is you got the old crazy guy that's trying to set up the prank so that the kids come in.
Yes.
And he's so in love with this prank that he keeps opening the door and letting it come out. Like he just does it.
He's like, he loves this. Like, I'm awesome
I'm
right
the
now.
Shit.
Yeah.
And then he actually gets the pickaxe come in and through his eye, which is a good scene. I love the practical effects of this movie. So that's a good scene that I really like as well. And while we're on the subject of practical effects, do you want to talk about certain places you can find your heart?
So always check when you're boiling hot dogs to make sure there isn't somebody's heart in there. That's so kind of gross, but...
What's even more gross is how it looks.
Well, it was all boiled, so it comes up and it doesn't have any blood in it, so it's like white.
Yeah, like it looks like one of the hot dogs.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another scene that we talk about. We always laugh at that one. Now, if you get the director's cut, that's something I should have said at the beginning. We're talking about the director's cut of the 1981. So it's a little bit bloody or a little bit gory. Some of the scenes are extended. And this is one of them. The girl, she gets caught. And he picks her up. I was going to say Harry, but... twist, it's not. Yeah. Picks her up and shoves her head through that pipe. Oh. And then he turns the water on, and you see the water coming out of her mouth. Like, I love that. It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole film.
Yeah, and her boyfriend comes back and is like freaking out.
Yeah, he's got the water just running down her face.
Yeah.
Like, that's another one that I'm so obsessed with that kill. I think that's my favorite kill of the whole movie.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool. Another one that's really cool is when they're down in the mine and Harry it takes the nail gun and is shooting.
Oh, getting the funny guy.
The bigger set guy, and he's shooting him with a nail gun. That's pretty cool looking.
Yeah. And these are all scenes from the original that we like a lot. Now we're going to talk about some of the scenes from the remake that we like a lot before we do our comparison of scenes that were the same in each film. So what we did now is scenes from the original film that were not in the remake. Now we're going to talk about scenes from the remake that were not in the original film, and then we'll be doing a comparison of the scenes together. So let's get to the remake. All right, guys, so now we're going to fast forward from 1981 in the town of Valentine's Bluff all the way to 2009 in the town of Harmony to talk about My Bloody Valentine 3D, the remake to the 1981 classic. So you want to start us off?
Yeah, so here in Harmony, we're at the hospital, and Harry Warden has woken up from his coma, and he goes on a massacre, and he starts killing people. And there is blood and blood all over the wall.
This is one of the goriest scenes of any.
It's very gory.
Definitely a massacre. You can see bodies all over the place. And I love when Tom Atkins, who steals every scene, by the way, when he shows up to the hospital and he's walking up and you see the heart in the mirror and his reflection.
Yeah.
And then he gets the box that has the heart in it. So, like, that's one of the scenes that I really, really enjoy a lot from this film.
Yeah, that's awesome. One that's kind of not so great is the CGI pickaxe through the eyeball when they're they're kids and they're down
joking around.
Yeah, what do you think, I'm Harry Warden or something? And then you see a pickaxe go through in his eyeball. Like it's almost like cartoonish.
Yeah. The way the effects are in this movie would be in 3D, especially when you watch it in 2D. It does not hold up as well.
It doesn't.
And while we're on that subject, there's a scene right after that where Harry Warden, and this is Harry Warden at this point.
Yes.
Where he takes a shovel and shoves it into the girl's mouth. And then he takes his pickaxe and hits it. So, like, the head falls up. That could have looked so good if it was done practically. It could have been really, really well. So, then you get the kids trying to escape.
Yes. And he throws the pickaxe at the truck and it goes through the window.
Right in front of her face.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we'll save that for the versus part. But, right after that, this is where you see Harry Warden get shot. He's getting ready to kill him, and then bam, he's shot, and this is where that part ends, and we fast forward into the future. This takes place in the past. Now we're going into the future.
Where the kids are all grown up, they're adults now. And two of the kids are married.
Well, it's Axel.
Axel he's now the sheriff of Harmony. And he is cheating on his wife with Megan.
It's his wife's employee at the grocery store. Sarah. And what's funny about this is the whole, I was talking earlier about a love triangle. Again, this would be more for the versus part, but in this movie it's more of a love square than a love triangle.
For sure.
But this is where Tom comes back to I want to say Valentine's Bluff, but Harmony, because he's going to be selling the mines. He's been gone for 10 years. Nobody's seen him. Nobody's heard from him, but he's coming back to sell the mines. And at this point, he goes and checks into a motel. And we get the longest, most gratuitous, most unnecessary sex scene ever. And it's the director doing the sex scene. And then the girl starts following him out to his truck because he videotaped it like a fucking creep. That's got to be a form of sexual assault / rape to film someone without their fucking consent. So she follows him out with a gun, completely naked, like cooch showing and everything.
Her whole scene, she's naked the whole
completely
time.
Naked.
And this is like 10 minutes of...
And it's in 3D.
Yeah.
So, but it's just, I don't know. Everybody that knows us knows we're not huge on the gratuitous nudity. If it has something to do with furthering the story, sure. This didn't. It has a couple cool death scenes in it. I'm not going to put any of that here because there's a lot of nudity. I'm not going to risk that. But that's one of the things that I wasn't into.
Yeah. And then there was the second heart at the in the box.
This is where Axel gets the heart.
Yeah, he gets the bloody heart in the Valentine's Day box.
And what's funny is the girl that got killed at the motel was Axel's girlfriend
back in the day.
In the day, so he still got that soft spot for her, and he sees that it's her that's dead. And after this, Tom goes back to the mines because he's got his mindset. He's selling the mine. And he goes in there, and the killer comes in and pushes Tom into the gate, into it like a fenced-in cage area. Yes. And he breaks the lock right there. And he looks in, and him and Tom are making the same movements up and down. So foreshadowing, maybe?
Maybe.
And then we get a pretty cool kill right after that.
Yeah, so as he's in the box, he's watching it, and the killer, Harry
Warden.
Yeah. He's on the ground, right?
Yeah.
And he kicks the pickaxe up.
Red goes to hit him.
He goes to hit him with the pickaxe, and he kicks it up into his...
Right into Red's head.
Yeah.
So, and there's another guy we were talking about. We haven't mentioned him yet, but his name's Ben. And he's the one that's trying to convince Tom not to sell the mines. You know, you're going to ruin this whole town. Our whole economy is based on these mines.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is the point now where we see Ben's demise. And the killer, Harry Warden, goes there and he takes Ben's head and pushes it through the pickaxe right through his eye.
Yeah.
And such a really good scene. It's, again, when it comes to the deaths in this movie, this one is up near the top of my favorites. But there's one we're going to talk about here in a little bit that I like a little more. And remember, these are just scenes that did not make it into the original. These are not our favorite scenes, just scenes that did not make it into the original.
So speaking of deaths, Megan's death, when they're at the store and she climbs out the window, and then Axel and Sarah go around the store and they find her body in the alley with
Be Mine Forever.
Be Mine Forever in her blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her heart is in a box.
Yes.
In a Valentine's box. And something we didn't bring up, when you find out that Megan and Axel are together, that Axel's cheating on Sarah with Megan, she gives him a Valentine's heart and it says Be Mine Forever, and she tells him that she's pregnant with his baby. So that's another big part of this movie. Well, she ain't having that baby now.
No.
You know, so this is double murder. Honestly. Like, this is a little bit of double murder at this point.
Yes.
But another thing, Tom Atkins, I talked about how he really stole a lot of the scenery. There's a scene where he's going to try to find Harry Warden, and you have Harry Warden take the pickaxe and go up through his jaw. And the pickaxe goes through his jaw, and then he pulls it and rips his jaw clean off to kill him. Would have been better practical, but it was still fun to watch nonetheless.
Yeah. And then when Tom gets shot.
So, spoiler alert. We'll talk about this more in the verses part of it.
Clearly, when we keep saying Harry, wasn't Harry.
It was Tom.
It was Tom, yes.
And after the reveal, Tom gets shot.
Yeah.
And when he gets shot, it goes right through him. And I like this shot, even though it's CGI.
It hits all, like, the
propane
tanks, and it's like an explosion.
Well, I do like how the camera follows the bullet into his body and goes through his body.
Yeah.
I shit on CGI a lot, but I personally like the way this scene looked. I mean, I could be completely off base here, out of touch, but I really liked how this one looked. And then it gets to the end where they're trying to save Tom's dead at this point because it blew up. But then they're trying to rescue him, and he's laying there, and then he takes the pickaxe and swings it right up into the rescuer's face. Bam! It goes right into the glass and right into the camera for your 3D effect. So that is pretty much the scenes about the remake that we wanted to talk about. Now, there's a huge bit of difference between the original and the remake when it comes to the story. So now we're going to talk about what we liked the best from each one in our versus segment. So, the reason we're here, we are going to bash these two against each other, and me and Ashley are going to say what we like more about the original and what we like more about the remake in certain scenes where they've done them the same, similar, or different. So, let's start off with the town name. Now, in the original, you had Valentine Bluff, and in the remake, you had the town of Harmony. Which one did you prefer?
I preferred Harmony. I just think that the flow of it is just so nice.
I'm a Valentine's Bluff guy. I love the name Valentine's Bluff. I think it's a cool name. I got to go with that one.
So what about Harry Warden being Trap Story? Which one did you prefer more?
I got to go with the supervisors trapping him. When we're talking about the different scenes, you have the ones where the supervisors trapped him down there and he came up and he killed the supervisors on the day of the dance. Or when Tom just forgot to check the methane levels and he got trapped down there, but he didn't kill anybody while he just killed him to kill him. He didn't kill him out of cannibalism in the remake. He killed him just to kill him. So I got to go with the supervisors on this one, with the original.
I'd have to agree. I like the supervisor one more as well.
I like the scenery afterwards. Because like in the remake, it's just, Tom left him down there. We find him in a hospital and he's woke up. Yeah. But in the original, you have him eating people down there as a cannibal. You have him coming back and killing the supervisors and putting their hearts in the boxes. Like I think the original, has a better story when it comes to Harry Warden's aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Now the question we always ask: the practical of the original versus the CGI of the remake.
I mean, do you really?
You guys know the answer here, so I'm going with the original.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we prefer practical over CGI in most things.
99%.
Yeah.
While we're on that subject, let's talk about some death. So you've got Mabel getting put in the dryer, or the maid in the remake getting put in the dryer. Which one did you like better?
I liked Mabel being put in the dryer. I think when he opens it and she falls out, I just think that she looks better. Like the dead, you know, in the remake, she's like all burnt up and stuff. And I just think that Mabel looks better. I like the makeup that they did on Mabel, and I prefer the original on that one.
Okay, I'm going to go with the original on this one, but hear me out for a second. In the original one, she's still been spinning all night and then automatically just opens up and falls out. It looks badass, but it's so unrealistic. In the remake, at least they open the dryer and see her fall out and it hasn't been spinning. So when it comes to the story part of it, I'd go with the remake. But overall, I'm going to say I like the original better because I think it, like you said, I think it looks better. And I think it's a bigger impact because Mabel was huge in the town and it actually means a lot in the original. In the remake, the maid, you forget about it 10 minutes after it happened. You know, it's never addressed again. It's never talked about again. Mabel's talked about more throughout the original. So the impact of her death, I like it better in the original. Now, another one, the suits falling. Now, you have your minor suits, and in different parts of in one part of the original, one part of the remake, you have the suits falling. Which scene did you like better?
I liked the original with that one. I just think it looks cool the way they're all falling down. And it's creepy. That'd be super creepy to be trapped in that.
And while the remake doesn't look bad, it is Sarah that it's happening to in the remake. In the original, it's one of my favorite kills of the original when you get the girl having her head picked up and put through the pipe. So just because of what happens after, and just by the looks, I agree with you. I'm going to go with the original on this one too. I'm running away with the original here.
So, I think I am too, actually. So let's talk about the love story from each of them.
Okay. Which
one do you prefer, the original love story or the remake love story?
I'm going on this one. I'm actually going to go with the remake.
Okay.
I like the remake's love story. I think it's more believable where you have the love square instead of the love triangle. And I feel like she's more torn in the remake than she is in the original. Like, you know, she's still in love with Tom. Like, she still has the picture.
Yeah.
But Axel, to me, is the perfect asshole. Like, you know he loves his wife, but he's cheating on her. He's gotten another girl pregnant. There's so much more dynamic to it in the remake, so I'm going to go with the remake on the love story.
Okay. Yeah, I don't agree with that one. I'm going to go with the original love story. It's Tom that leaves, and he still loves her, and he comes back and he tries to win her back, and you know she loves him too. And I just feel like their love is better.
Stronger in that one.
Stronger, better, whereas Axel's off cheating and getting people pregnant and...
Sure. Okay, well, let's talk about the reveal. So in the original, you have the reveal that it was Axel that was the killer, not Harry Warden, obviously. And then in the remake, you get the reveal that it's Tom that's the killer. Now, we're talking about the actual reveal itself. Which reveal do you like more?
I like the Tom reveal more.
From the remake.
From the remake, yeah. I like how it kind of goes back, where he's like having all these flashbacks of everything. Yeah, I like that.
See, now I do like Axel's, but what I don't like about it is just how plain Jane it almost is. Like Axel, and then you flash back to him seeing his father get killed. Yeah. And he's stuck under the bed as a little kid watching his dad get killed.
So now he's going to be a killer.
That's what made him snap. Yeah. Right. But what I like about Tom's reveal more is you're anxious for a minute. He's like, look behind you. Sarah, he's right there. He's right there behind you.
Like he actually believes that.
It's him. And then he walks towards him.
And then he becomes him.
Yeah, it dissolves. And he realizes that it's him that's been doing this.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's why I'm actually going to go with the remake on this one as well. And I am going to say Tom. I like the Tom reveal. Now, Harry Warden's fate. The original, he died in the hospital.
Right.
That's it. That's all you get. He died in the hospital, guys. That's it.
Nobody knows where he,
Right.
was.
So that's where the twist of the original is. You think that it's Harry Warden the whole time, but nope, he's just dead.
Yeah.
And then you got the remake where you got the vigilante justice. After they shot him, They followed him outside, they killed him, and they buried him. And that actually becomes a huge plot point in the remake.
Right.
So which one would you say you liked more?
I think the remake was better just because it has more story to it.
Right.
Whereas, he just died in the hospital.
Right. So I'm going to go with you. I like the remake better. And Harry Warden from the remake is better too. That guy, he's great. He's amazing. So what about the ending? So in the ending, you've got Crazy Axel.
Yes.
You know, be my Bloody Valentine.
Daddy gone away. Harry Warden made you pay.
Or you have Tom just escaping, taking his mask off and leaving. Which one did you prefer?
I like the remake more on that one.
I'm actually with you. I don't like the incompletion of the original. At least in the remake, you kind of know where this is going a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with you on this one. I do like the remake better with Tom escaping. One scene that we both like a lot from the original and the remake is when the miner is walking through the mine.
Yeah,
and he's breaking the lights.
all the lights.
Which one did you like better?
I liked the remake on that one better.
I wonder if it's for the same reason I do.
I just think that it's cool how he's walking and you can see Harry when he breaks it, and I think that's awesome.
See, because in the original it's just the miner that's walking and breaking the lights,
but when Tom's breaking them, you see every time it flashes you see
the miner.
Well, the miner,
because it's not the miner that's doing it, it's Tom. He doesn't have the outfit on,
right?
So as he's breaking them, you see the flash of the miner. So I thought that was what in all these scenes that we're talking about, I thought that was the best callback to the original.
Yeah.
Because you had the same scene, but you have him flashing with the miner in there. So where they tried to flip the story a little bit, literally flip the killer.
Right.
You know, in the first one it's Axel, in the second one it's Tom. Like they literally did a 360 on this one. The callback to this scene I thought was really good. Now, we're going to go a little crazy here, guys. The side characters from each of these movies are fucking awful. I'm just going to throw that right off the top. They're awful.
They really are.
Which ones did you prefer? The side characters from the original or the remake?
I have to go with the remake just because the ones in the original are so annoying. Like they're annoying, and like some of the things, like trying to be funny, I guess, I don't know, but it's over the top and it's too much.
Yeah, like you have the guy that's sniffing Coke out of a can.
Like a Coca-Cola can. Yeah.
I agree. I think in the original, the characters are just way over the top. It doesn't even look like they were actors. It looked like they just literally picked people up off the street and were like, hey, let's do this. Yeah. Just be whoever you are. So I'm going to go with the remake as well, because I did like the deputy. And I loved Ben. I thought Ben was a great side character. He had one of the coolest deaths in the movie, too. And I loved him in Rose Red. And he was the old guy in Rose Red, too. So now we're going to give you our final score. So if you were tallying along, Ashley, you had 5 points for the original, 6 points for the remake. So you're a bigger fan of
the remake, apparently.
There you go. So here we go. I had 5 points for the original, 6 points for the remake. Now here's where I'm going to be a cheater, pumpkin eater. If we're talking about the theatrical cuts of the films, I'm going to give it to 2009. To the remake. If we can include the director's cut, which is what we use for this episode, I like that one better. And the reason I like this one better is just strictly because of the scene with the pipe in the water. Yeah. I thought that was really unique. I love the touch of him turning the water on after he had put her head through the pipe. Yeah. I thought that was a good touch. And overall, not a huge fan of either one of these movies.
They're fun.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. They're fun, but in the original, I think this is what made it for me, was like the time factor is the side characters.
The side characters.
Like they were so god awful, and it's almost like you cringe watching them.
Yeah. And again, I don't hate either one of these movies.
No, they're absolutely fun, and it's something that we've watched more than once.
Absolutely. You know, and so it's one of those things where it wouldn't be my first thing to turn on, but it definitely is farthest from the worst thing I've ever seen. So, we want to thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode of Versus. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Help us with these YouTube algorithm gods. So we appreciate you guys coming out. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
Next week for the month of March, we will be covering Child's Play, the original versus the remake. So please join us for that one. I guarantee you we're going to have very strong opposite opinions when it comes to these films.
More than likely.
So as always, guys, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.